Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Aw, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Ready to level up your everyday? Quince makes premium essentials without the premium price tag. From quality clothing and stylish accessories to travel staples and high-end home goods, Quince has it all. And by partnering directly with top artisans and ethical factories, Quince delivers high quality at half the cost of similar brands. Shop elevated essentials without the markup at Quince. Go to quince.com/levelup for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/levelup.
Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. That's why a State Farm agent is there to help you choose a coverage option that's right for you. Whether you're getting a new house, car, boat, or RV, helping protect it is important. And State Farm is there to help you choose the coverage you need, whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app. And with so many coverage options, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs, so you can continue to focus on what's most important to you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
A new era of power has arrived with the Alienware Area 51 gaming laptops, intentionally engineered to push more power to the CPU and GPU for maximum performance. This otherworldly power, paired with the game-changing AI capabilities of NVIDIA GeForce RTX 50 series GPUs with DLSS4, amplifies performance and image precision for ultra-smooth, stunning gameplay. And with the new cryo chamber design, airflow is focused exactly where it's needed most. Fused with Alienware's enhanced thermal solutions, it creates a higher power output without raising noise levels, allowing you to play with confidence even during the most demanding marathon gaming sessions. So no matter what you are playing, Alienware ensures every game runs precisely as its developers intended. A new era of power is here. All you have to do is take it. Discover Area 51 today at alienware.com.
Oh, this right here is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on context, and help each other understand.
Today, Andy Beach tells us if AI will kill the ad industry, and Ron Richards reports on the hot news from the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked in New York.
Literally. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Jenn Cutter.
Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. Android Faithful's Ron Richards was at the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked announcement today, and thanks for joining us, Ron, to give us the lowdown right after it happened, running through the New York heat. I appreciate
Literally,
that.
Not only running through the New York heat, but running through the Brooklyn Navy Yard. For those of you who are local New Yorkers know what that's like. I was dodging forklifts and things like that as I ran from one pier to the other. To
now
go.
I'm imagining you parkouring and like a forklift carries you part way.
Exactly. And it was funny because they were, this was my first Galaxy Unpacked, so I'm super thankful for Samsung for inviting me. I can check that off the bingo card now. I've attended one in person, but the timing of it all was like, all right, well, if the presentation runs longer, am I going to be able to talk to Tom and all this sort of stuff? But I was able to get out of it, eat the Samsung provided lunch, and get over here to a room to talk to you, because I did not want to be recording from the outside of the Samsung event in the blazing heat. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll appreciate you downing the Samsung witch and getting over here. So let's start with the Galaxy Z Fold 7. Starts at $2,200. We got the bigger display, the 8-inch and the 6.5-inch. Nice cameras, it seems like, and it's thin like we thought. And sadly, no S Pen support. What else hit you about that?
Yeah, I mean, those are the real big headlines. The cameras are nice, but not an upgrade from previous versions, right? There are no advancement in the cameras. We're kind of staying put on the camera side, but that comes with the counterbalance of the fact that this phone is thin. It is as thin as it can get. I mean, it's pretty much on par with the other Asian thin phones that we're seeing. The Honor Magic V5 and the Oppo Find N5. When it is folded, it is like as thick as my Pixel, right?
That's
so
great.
It is. So like whatever they did, whatever thinness magic they did with the edge, they applied to the fold, and you can really see it. It really stands out. Really impressive. But obviously everyone is complaining about the lack of the S Pen, as that leak happened prior to the event. There was no mention of S Pen. There was no allusion to the lack of the S Pen in the presentation. And honestly, you gotta expect that Samsung has their reasons, which are probably tied to either usage research or sales or something to justify the lack of the S Pen. And you're going to have a very vocal minority complaining about it. So. Yeah.
But it gets thinner. Maybe that's part of it too.
Yeah.
It's down close to the Magic V5 and around, I think, even thinner than the Oppo Find.
Yeah.
So yes, that's good. We also got the announcement about some new Google features from Gemini coming in. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so Rick Osterloh from Google, as well as there's a whole cadre of Googlers that were in the audience. As I was walking in, I saw a bunch of familiar faces, and luckily they recognized me and waved, which is always nice to be recognized. Yeah. But Google did show up, and it's funny because the Google-Samsung partnership is this like symbiotic, not frenemies, but like partners, and they're doing stuff. And so Google made it very clear that they were bringing these features to Samsung, but in Google's press materials, they're also bringing it to all of Android and to the whole kind of thing. So what we've got is they're enhancing Circle to Search to now include AI mode. AI mode is the new hotness for Google in search. So now you can circle something on a screen and pull up directly to AI mode and have a conversation with Google Search about it. They've also added a feature which is really cool, Circle Search within gaming. So you can actually circle a character in Genshin Impact and then pull up AI mode to tell you what the character is and pull up videos, how to kill it and all this sort of stuff, this real kind of integration between it. I actually talked to the product manager at Google about this because I was curious about the latency of it. It all happens off device, and that is something that they are very cognizant of because AI can be taxing, gaming can be taxing. Yeah. How quickly can that go about? But then the other big announcement is the fact that Gemini is coming to Wear OS. And actually, Gemini is going to be shipping on the Galaxy Watch 8 as the first watch out of the box with Gemini on the watch. So Google was present at the event and brought some goods. So
they also mentioned some Gemini Live support for foldables as well, but I didn't quite get what that means for foldables.
Well, yeah. So basically, the big thing on the Flip 7 is that now Gemini works on the front screen of the Flip.
Got it.
So that it basically just makes it easier to access Gemini on the go, to go to Gemini Live and just ask it a quick question or do something with it. It's interesting because they opened the Galaxy Unpacked presentation out of the gate talking about how important AI is and how AI is a tool and it should make things easier. And if you remember a couple of years ago, Samsung was trying to navigate their own world of AI, and they still are doing that to a certain degree, but they really have subscribed to partnering with Google and integrating Gemini as much as they can into these devices. And that was like really super apparent in this presentation. It was Gemini left and right in almost every demo.
Yeah, hint, Apple. Yeah. Speaking of the Z Flip 7, let's talk about that's the smaller clamshell one, starts at $1,100 and gets that bigger 4.1-inch cover display.
Yes.
Also still kind of thin, and they say they strengthened the hinge. What else should we know?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for that is the cover display. I mean, we just over at Android Faithful were reviewing the Moto Razr 2025 line, and the big differentiator between the Samsung and the Moto Razr up to this point was the Moto had the big cover screen. It used the full front section, and now Samsung has caught up to that basically and actually surpassed them with the 4.1-inch full cover screen. The bezel is super thin. The whole front of this device is screen, and it works. It's really nice. And they've also done some. Not only did they just make the screen bigger and make the bezel smaller, but they've done also interesting touches with the software so that if you choose a photo to be your front screen wallpaper, they actually have coded the clock to detect the subject of the photo and have the time wrap around the subject. So it really looks customized and personalized to truly be your phone. It's not just the clock being slapped in the upper left-hand corner to the left of the photo.
Yeah.
It will wrap around the image, which is kind of neat. So a little touch. So.
Why do they launch these right around my wife's birthday?
I think they know. I think they know. Yeah.
Well, maybe I can get her to agree to the smaller, cheaper one without the big screen, the Z Flip 7 FE for fan edition. This one, smaller screen, smaller battery, no telephoto, but it's nice.
But it's smaller screen, smaller battery, not that cheaper. I mean,
not that much. No,
it's a $900 phone.
Yeah.
I mean, normally the FE devices are meant to be the more affordable devices, but at almost $1,000, it's like, really, like, what are we doing here? The FE kind of inherits the old flip front screen where there's a cutout for the camera spots, which I never thought was a good look, and that's one of the things I think was a big knock against the flips. The FE was fine. I don't know who this is for. I don't know who the FE is for.
Yeah.
I understand, if you're being cost conscious, and the gap between $1,100 and $900 might be too much for a lot of people to jump. But if you're going close to $1,000, just make the jump and go to the full flip. That's my opinion. So.
We alluded to the Galaxy Watch 8. They announced the new smaller one that we expected, 40 millimeters, along with 44 millimeters, starts at $349. The 8 Classic still around at 46 millimeters. And anything else that struck you about the new watches?
Yeah, so they really pushed the fitness aspect of it. They announced they acquired a company called Zelf, or it's like health with an X. And they had a whole film package around running, and they brought out the world record holder for the half marathon to talk about how important it is to sleep before you go running. But they really pushed the health tracking elements of it, and really pushed how what they're doing with the health and tracking your stuff, plus Gemini and the Gemini inclusion in there can help you live a better lifestyle and remind you to not drink so much caffeine after 4:00 and to go to bed at 10:30 and to do all the kind of live a better lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
you'll be so much more energetic in that elevator on your way up to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, jeez. But I thought the Google product videos were bad at I/O, but these Samsung ones, they must use the same production company. But it was the watch stuff was really pushing the health stuff, and then on the I think it was the Ultra version, they have the new blue watch band, the chunky kind of rubbery watch band that they were all happy. Blue, the theme of this whole thing was this blue color that was pervasive throughout all the stuff. And also it's worth noting, going back to the Fold and the Flip, they do have a online exclusive color of mint green that I know Win Todao from Android Faithful and DTNS, she already ordered that. Everyone's going crazy for this mint colored phone.
Okay.
But so the colorways were pretty cool, but the blue was the pervasive one that seemed to be the theme of the whole event. So
I don't think this is related, but blue was the color of the party that just won the presidential election in South Korea recently. So I don't know.
There you go.
Maybe it would have been red if the other people. Who knows?
Who knows?
So Z Fold, Z Flip 7s, first with Android 16 at ship. Watch 8 series first with Wear OS 6 is the only other note that I had here. Anything else to add before we wrap this?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I think if anything, it was just what didn't happen. We didn't get any trifold phone. There was a lot of rumors.
Not even Edge style teaser at the end. Nothing.
There was no one more thing. There was no teaser. It just they just came out. The head guy DJ Ko came out and wrapped it up and said thank you, and that was it. And everyone was waiting for it. And then they even after he said thank you, they showed the Fold, and then they showed some more dramatic videos, and everyone kind of gasped, and we were waiting. Nothing. And then so no trifold, no experimental, no one more thing, no celebrities. There were a couple of special guests, but nobody that really kind of shook the room. And then
BTS
also
didn't reunite to
there was no dramatic moment.
Yeah.
They really played it safe and straight and by the numbers, which I respect to a certain degree. There was no melodramatics. There was no Broadway style. We'll never forget, Samsung, that when you were in New York and you were in Radio City Music Hall and you put on the stage show. We did love that. But this was very straight and by the numbers and to be expected, which again I do have a lot of respect for, because they let the devices and honestly the partnership with Google and the inclusion of Gemini speak for itself. And the clocking in at well over an hour for the presentation, they really had a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Well, there's always little bits and pieces that trickle out after the announcement. So it's always good to get a little perspective later on. Check Android Faithful for that coming up. Ron Richards, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, man.
My pleasure. Anytime. Yeah. Tune in next Tuesday. We'll have the full postmortem, and we'll be posting some stuff through the week on our socials and on the website. So go to AndroidFaithful.com for everything.
Thank you, Ron. And by the way, I said right at the top of our conversation that the Z Fold starts at $2,200, starts at $2,000. Still expensive, but not as expensive as I may have implied there. These are all available to order now, shipping July 25th. Jen, what do you think of the Samsung announcements?
Well, many thanks to Ron for the heroic efforts to bring us all of that excellent information. Always appreciated, and I'm sure that everyone else does too. Samsung is working hard to reduce my mental resistance to foldables.
Really?
Now that there's like more you can do from the fold screen, because before my brain was like, oh, well, it's a clock. I don't really care. But now that there are more things you can actually do from it, that reduces my resistance. And I'm not going to lie, the colors are gorgeous.
Yeah, you like the colors.
I do like the colors. And like, I'm someone who has a giant case on all of my phones because again I just toss it around a bunch in my hockey bag, but like these are pretty enough. It's like, oh, I wonder if there's like clear protections for it. They're so nice. They're good to show off.
Yeah, and they do. They definitely have those. Go check out Casetify or somebody, and you can find all kinds of cool stuff that goes with your Samsung phone. Well, again, thanks to Ron. And like I said, keep an eye on AndroidFaithful.com for continuing analysis of that and everything else Android.
DTNS is made possible by you, the listener. Thanks to Matt Zeglin, Jeff Wilkes, Pele Glendale, and a whole bunch of new patrons today. We have Collins, Sasindu, Huey, Scala Code, and Ian. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, everybody.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick two. What if you could have all three? You can with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast hyperscaler for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload for less. Compared with other clouds, OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Try OCI for free at oracle.com/dailytech. Oracle.com/dailytech.
Trust isn't just earned, it's demanded. Whether you're a startup founder navigating your first audit or a seasoned security professional scaling your GRC program, proving your commitment to security has never been more critical or more complex. That's where Vanta comes in. Businesses use Vanta to establish trust by automating compliance needs across over 35 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001, centralize security workflows, complete questionnaires up to 5 times faster, and proactively manage vendor risk. Vanta not only saves you time, it can also save you money. A new IDC white paper found that Vanta customers achieve $535,000 per year in benefits, and the platform pays for itself in just 3 months. Join over 9,000 global companies like Atlassian, Quora, and Factory who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. For a limited time, our audience gets $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/DTNS. That's VANTA.com/DTNS for $1,000 off. Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
Hugging Face is accepting pre-orders for its Reachy mini desktop robots. The company showed these off in May, along with a humanoid robot that is not yet available. Reachy Mini is an open-source hardware kit you build yourself. It ends up as a stuffed animal-sized robot with screens for eyes and 2 antennas. It uses the Hugging Face Hub machine learning platform and is programmable in Python. You can order the Reachy Mini wireless version with a Raspberry Pi 5 inside for $449, or the Reachy Mini Lite for $299, which will need to be connected to a computer. Shipping begins next month.
Yeah, when they showed these off, they only showed the one that needed to be connected to the computer, but the CEO of Hugging Face said that, I can't remember if it was his own or someone's daughter, wanted to carry it around. And they're like, oh, well, we should make one you can carry around. So hence putting the Raspberry Pi 5 inside. This is a hobbyist thing. But for hobbyists, it's a pretty low price to get in and start messing around with some minimal desktop robotics. Kind of cool. Couple of executive moves to mention. Ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino is now the ex-CEO, as the former NBC Universal ad exec announced she is stepping down. She wrote that she is immensely grateful to Elon Musk, quote, for entrusting me with the responsibility of protecting free speech, turning the company around, and transforming X into the everything app. Musk responded, thank you for your contributions. Meanwhile, over at Apple, Chief Operating Officer Jeff Williams, sometimes thought to be a potential successor to Tim Cook, although he's about the same age, so I'm not sure how serious that ever was. But Jeff Williams announced he will retire later this year. He's handing over the reins of COO to Sabir Khan right away. The design team will continue to report to Williams until he steps down, after which the design team will report directly to CEO Tim Cook, which I don't know, for my money means that Tim Cook is looking for a design head to take over that part of the business. But for now, the plan is to report to Cook.
IKEA will relaunch its line of smart home products to expand beyond Zigbee support to support Matter over Thread. This means you wouldn't need an IKEA hub to control them, since they will work with other Matter devices. More than 20 devices with Matter support will launch in January.
A U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that the U.S. Federal Trade Commission had not followed proper rulemaking procedures last year when it put in place a requirement that companies make canceling a service as easy as it was to sign up. The court actually went beyond the necessary requirements of an opinion to say, we love the idea of this. Don't get us wrong. You just didn't follow the right rules. The rule was supposed to go into effect on July 14th, but the court has now vacated that decision. The FTC is required to conduct a preliminary regulatory analysis of the estimated economic effect of a new rule if that estimated economic effect would be more than $100 million. Now, the FTC estimated it would be less than that, but an administrative law judge estimated it would pass that threshold, and the FTC decided to ignore that determination, so they got sued. And now they have lost. Current FTC chair Andrew Ferguson initially voted against the rule before he became chair. So it's unlikely that the FTC is going to revisit this.
I kind of hope they do, because I kind of wanted the FTC to pass it so that other nations follow, because who doesn't love an easy way to cancel?
Yeah, no, it'd be a good precedent. And I guess it could still serve as a precedent, even if it doesn't get repassed.
Knock on wood. So Activision has pulled down the 2017 game Call of Duty World War II from the Microsoft Store and PC Game Pass, and has taken the game offline after multiple players reported their computers were compromised with a remote code execution while playing the game. Xbox and Steam versions of the game are unaffected, and I want to stress that this is specifically Call of Duty World War II. again, on the Microsoft Store and PC Game Pass. Everyone else is fine. If you're playing the modern ones, you are fine. So do not worry about it.
That's good to know. Yes, it's just that one game. Warner Brothers Discovery's streaming service Max has returned to its former name of HBO Max as of Wednesday. As they said they would do this, a lot of people started calling it HBO Max right away. Now it's official. Interestingly, the Stream on Max account on X wrote, "Twitter won't let me change my name back." And the HBO Max account on X wrote, "Twitter won't let us switch our handles." So little bump in the road on that rename.
Large language model company Perplexity, famous for its search product, has launched its browser called Comet. It is available to subscribers of Perplexity's $200 a month Max plan. It uses Perplexity's search engine and Comet Assistant, which can automate routine tasks.
Those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper.
WPP's CEO just stepped down after betting big on AI, while clients and platforms are racing to cut agencies out entirely. Andy Beach joins us to talk about whether the ad industry can survive the AI wave.
Andy, thanks again for joining us, man.
Hey, Tom, good to see you.
Okay, so set up the story for us. Who's WPP and what's going on with them here?
Yeah, so WPP is one of the biggest global agencies in the world. It's not even a single ad agency company. It's hundreds of agencies collected together under one brand name. They have a variety of brands that they work with. So if you've ever seen a Volvo commercial, you're looking at WPP content.
So why did the CEO put himself out of a job? Everyone thinks, oh no, the CEO will be the last one to leave. He'll just fire everyone else and use AI. What happened here?
So it is interesting, and maybe for a little more context, the agency world, there was this sort of hypothesis a few years ago that while the studios in Hollywood were all sort of very slow to adopt AI, agencies weren't going to have that same problem because they didn't have the unions and quite the legal battle that was going on. So they were very bullish about bringing AI in, and in fact, WPP was one of the first places to come up with its own AI platform they called WPP Open that all of their agencies would have access to use that would bring generative AI platforms together for their creatives to use as they were working on things. The reality, unfortunately, was that adoption and that technology just wasn't quite what they ultimately wanted. I believe out of the millions of employees that WPP has across all of its brands, they ended up with about 50,000 users of it. They had almost 30,000 AI agents that were in use. But it was just not seen as being able to keep up with all of the new models that were coming out. It was seen as lagging behind in some of the features and performance. And it ultimately wasn't really helping keep the billable hour model that agency work has been built on afloat. And so ultimately what it has meant is that a lot of the brands under their under the WPP branch have made the decisions to cut their spending on AI technology, including their own platform, by as much as 25% and go back to more traditional ways of creating that content.
So if I'm understanding this, Mark Reed, the CEO, fell on his sword for getting over his skis, if I could mix metaphors there.
I love a good mixed metaphor, and I think you're absolutely right. I think he was bullish on this. He invested in it. It's not paying off the way that he wanted, and he got out before the board or others could hang even worse news on him. I think part of this article that was in the Guardian also calls out the fact. Apologies, this is actually Financial Times. This Financial Times article calls out the fact that the AI generated platforms are really helping people like Meta, Google, and Amazon bypass and skip agency worlds altogether and just make the ads themselves. And so they find themselves using tools, but also competing with those same tools at times with their competitors.
Yeah. And my sense has been, and this is a guess, this is not even a prediction. My sense has been that those tools that Meta and Amazon and Google are going to provide will be used by companies with certain budgets. And so it may take some of the wide base out of agency work, but we're going to build up a sense that knows when those tools were used to create an ad. And it doesn't mean the ad won't work, but companies that want to appear a little cut above, a little step above, will probably want to do something else. What do you think of that hypothesis?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think we even already see that playing out with text-based generative AI.
Yeah.
Where we all already have a language, we've all sort of semantically learned when something is written, and I think we even start to identify which version of a model spit it out.
Yeah. So many emojis, Claude. Why?
Yeah, and a spoiler alert: no email has ever found me well. So that's always the tell that I see.
Yeah.
So I think the same will emerge for visual generative AI models, and we are already starting to see that. And it's going beyond the nuance that we had early on of, oh, there's an extra finger, it must be generative AI content. They're bypassing that, but we're visually learning to understand when something was generated versus being natural video.
Do you think this is just an example with WPP of the natural cycle where there's always going to be somebody a little too far ahead, and there's obviously other examples of people being too far behind that we'll know eventually, rather than a damnation of the entire industry?
Yeah, it's absolutely a spectrum. You're absolutely right. WPP was out in front of this early, but they were probably a little too far out and a little too aggressive with the way that they tried to make the adoption work. And ultimately, the tech is still evolving rapidly, and it's hard to build a strategic set of technology partnerships on top of all of those rapid changes, because you don't know when to implement the alteration into your operations. So I think the reality is we will continue to have a spectrum of sort of early pioneers in this. WPP is probably not going to be one of them for a while. But there are other big agency brands that are out there, and they haven't necessarily slowed down their AI innovation and pace. I know Omnicom use it heavily. I know Dentsu heavily uses AI, and they're looking at generative AI. So there are plenty of others that are out there doing this work. But you will also have people that are slower to bring it to the forefront. You could even bring this back out of the agency world and think about the fact that we just went through WWDC with Apple, and while they talked about Siri they didn't talk about the intelligence the way they did last year. Mm-hmm. Because it's not really ready for prime time by the way that they say it. I think they classically only bring something out when it's ready, and I don't think it was ready. Whereas you see a lot of Gemini inside of Android, and you see a lot of it coming into other Google services. So that's just another example of early adoption versus late adoption.
Yeah, and the question is Apple too late this time? Maybe not. A little too early to tell. A lot of people have opinions on it, though. If you want to keep up on where this fast changing sector is going, I can't think of anybody better than Andy Beach to follow. Where can folks get your insights?
I appreciate that, Tom. I write over on a Substack. It's called Engines of Change, and the URL for that is enginesofchange.ai.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, sir.
I know that a lot of people in the audience are probably cheering for the ad agency to be hurt by this, but then there are also a lot of people cheering for AI not to move into more things. So, Jen, where do you stand on the cheering index?
Well, not going to surprise anyone for me to say I think Andy Beach is right. There's been some backlash in gaming over background assets, like not even foreground stuff, background assets like profile pictures for NPCs and text on just like flavor things in the background, that when it was discovered and that it was not disclosed, which you do have to do on Steam, huge backlash. They had to sort of apologize. Mm-hmm. I think they were more sorry they got caught, and remove it. So the vocal contingent of we don't want this, get this away, is so far having an effect, but I don't know how long that will last.
Yeah. Well, if you have an idea of how long it will last, please tell us in our Discord. You can join our Discord by linking a Patreon account at patreon.com/DTNS.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Aw, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC. As the main character of your life, you know how important it is to make the right choices for you, and how sweet it is to feel good about your decisions. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options to help create an affordable price for you, so you can continue living your best life. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Paul shares his experience.
Yeah, Paul wrote about Jason and Hwen chatting about in-person co-op gaming and how playing competitive games can sometimes get a bit heated. Paul said, "This reminded me of one of my coworkers' brilliant observation. Mario Kart is not a racing game. It's a fighting game on wheels." Based on how much we cussed and shouted at each other during these gaming sessions, he was totally right. Proud patron from unusually sunny Vancouver, BC, Paul.
Oh, Paul is totally right. Let's see. Mario Party is how to end a friendship, but co-op gaming in person just ends up like that. Like my hockey team used to, and I stress used to, play Pictionary, which would turn into full contact Pictionary, where I ended up not being on a team and being referee in Pictionary. People just lose their minds.
It's the competitiveness, not the game, is what it sounds like to me.
Pretty much.
That's amazing. I actually wish you had video of full contact Pictionary.
I had explained this to someone and they're like, wait, that's insane. And then, oh no, wait, that makes sense. I've seen your team play.
Well, there you go.
So do you have thoughts? Have you got some insight into a story? Please share it with us over at feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Big thanks to Ron Richards, Andy Beach, and Paul for contributing to today's show. And thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business by becoming a patron. Do it right now. Patreon.com/DTNS. Talk to you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Aw, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC. As the main character of your life, you know how important it is to make the right choices for you, and how sweet it is to feel good about your decisions. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options to help create an affordable price for you, so you can continue living your best life. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.